The moment you truly detach, something powerful shifts inside you. You stop chasing, stop explaining, and stop trying to prove your worth. And strangely, that's when your value becomes undeniable. People are drawn to what they cannot control, and detachment places you beyond reach. This is not about playing games, it's about reclaiming your inner peace and refusing to let your emotions be dictated by someone else's choices. Most people believe that holding on tighter will bring someone back. Stoicism teaches the opposite. The tighter you grip, the more you lose yourself. Detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. It is understanding that your happiness cannot depend on someone who is unsure about you. When you let go, you remove the pressure, the desperation, and the emotional noise. What remains is strength, and strength is magnetic. When they move on to someone new, your instinct might be to compare, to question, to doubt yourself. But here's the truth: no one can compete with someone who is at peace with themselves. Their new relationship may look perfect on the surface, but it lacks what you gain through detachment, emotional independence. And that is something that cannot be replaced or replicated. The more you detach, the more you grow. You begin to invest in yourself, your mindset, your discipline, your purpose. You become less reactive and more intentional. This transformation doesn't go unnoticed. People can feel when you no longer need validation. That energy is rare, and it creates curiosity. Suddenly, the same person who overlooked you starts to wonder why you no longer care. Detachment shifts the power dynamic. When you stop chasing, you stop giving them control over your emotions. You become unpredictable, not because you're trying to be, but because you are no longer reacting out of habit. This creates a vacuum, and humans naturally want to fill that void. The silence you create speaks louder than any words you could have said. It is important to understand that detachment is not a tactic to get someone back. If you use it as a strategy, it loses its power. True detachment means you are okay whether they return or not. It means you have accepted reality and chosen yourself regardless of the outcome. Ironically, this is what makes them come back, not your effort, but your absence. When they realize you are no longer available in the way you used to be, it triggers something deep within them. Familiarity becomes scarcity. What they once took for granted now feels distant. They begin to replay memories, question their decisions, and feel the weight of your absence. This is when the begging often begins, not because you forced it, but because you freed yourself. Your silence becomes your statement. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need closure from them. You have already given yourself closure by choosing peace over chaos. And that kind of self-respect is incredibly attractive. It signals that you know your worth, and you refuse to settle for anything less. There is also a deeper lesson here. Detachment teaches you that people's actions are a reflection of them, not you. Their inability to see your value does not diminish it. By detaching, you stop internalizing their behavior. You stop asking, "Why wasn't I enough?" and start understanding, "They were not aligned with me." As you continue this journey, you will notice a shift not just in how others treat you, but in how you treat yourself. You become more patient, more disciplined, and more focused. You stop wasting energy on things you cannot control. Instead, you channel that energy into growth, purpose, and self-mastery. And here's the paradox. When you no longer care about being chosen, you become the obvious choice. Not because you are trying to impress anyone, but because you embody something rare, inner stability. People crave that, especially in a world full of emotional chaos. If they come back, it will be because they see the difference. They will see that you are no longer the same person they left. You are stronger, calmer, and more grounded. But at that point, the real question is no longer whether they want you, it's whether you still want them. This is the ultimate power of detachment. It shifts your focus from them to you. It turns pain into growth and rejection into redirection. And in doing so, it places you in a position where you no longer chase anything that does not align with your peace. Remember, Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions, it is about mastering them. Detachment is one of the highest forms of that mastery. It allows you to experience life without being controlled by it. And when you reach that level, nothing and no one can shake your foundation. If you found this message powerful and you want more content that helps you build discipline, inner strength, and emotional control, make sure you subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more coming that will transform the way you think, act, and live. When you fully embrace detachment, you begin to notice how much of your past pain came from expectations. You expected consistency, loyalty, understanding, but not everyone is capable of giving those things. Stoicism teaches you to adjust your expectations, not your standards. You stop expecting others to behave the way you would, and instead, you observe them for who they truly are. This shift protects your peace in a way nothing else can. There is a quiet confidence that comes with detachment. It doesn't need validation, attention, or reassurance. It is built on self-awareness and self-trust. You know who you are, and you are no longer shaken by someone else's opinion or actions. This confidence is subtle, but incredibly powerful. It makes you stand out without trying, and it draws people in without effort. When someone sees that you are no longer reacting the way you used to, it disrupts their expectations. They may have been used to your attention, your presence, your emotional availability. Now all of that is gone, or at least, no longer freely given. This creates a sense of loss that they didn't anticipate. It forces them to confront the reality of what they had and what they let go. Detachment also forces you to confront yourself. Without the distraction of chasing someone else, you are left with your own thoughts, your own habits, your own life. This can be uncomfortable at first, but it is necessary. Growth does not happen in distraction, it happens in reflection. And in that reflection, you begin to rebuild yourself into someone stronger and more self-sufficient. The more you invest in yourself, the less appealing it becomes to settle for anything that disrupts your peace. You start to value your time, your energy, and your mental clarity. You become selective about who you allow into your life. This is not arrogance, it is self-respect. And people can feel the difference between someone who needs them and someone who chooses them. When they eventually try to come back, they often expect the same version of you they left behind. But detachment has changed you. You are no longer easily accessible. You are no longer driven by emotion alone. You think, you observe, and you decide with intention. This new version of you cannot be manipulated in the same way, and that alone shifts everything. There is also a level of emotional control that comes with detachment. You feel things, but you are not ruled by them. You acknowledge your emotions without letting them dictate your actions. This gives you a sense of stability that most people lack. And in relationships, stability is often more valuable than intensity. Another powerful aspect of detachment is that it frees you from the need for closure. You no longer wait for explanations, apologies, or validation. You accept what happened and move forward. This saves you from being stuck in the past, replaying conversations and searching for answers that may never come. You create your own closure by choosing to let go. As you continue to grow, you will realize that not everyone deserves access to you. Some people are meant to be lessons, not lifelong connections. Detachment helps you recognize this without bitterness or resentment. You learn to appreciate the lesson and move on without carrying emotional baggage. It is also worth noting that detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you care differently. You care without attachment, without dependency, without losing yourself. You can still love, still connect, still experience deep emotions, but you do so from a place of strength, not neediness. Over time, your entire perspective on relationships begins to change. You stop chasing validation and start building a life that fulfills you independently of anyone else. You become the source of your own happiness. And when you reach that point, any relationship you enter becomes an addition to your life, not a requirement for it. The person who once overlooked you will notice this shift. They will see that you are no longer seeking their approval. They will feel the distance you have created, and it will make them question everything. But by the time they come to this realization, you are no longer the same person who was waiting for them. This is the true essence of Stoic detachment. It is not about making someone regret losing you. It is about reaching a point where their regret no longer matters. You are focused on your own growth, your own path, your own peace. And that is something no one can take away from you. If this message is helping you see things differently, and you want to continue building this level of discipline and emotional strength, make sure you subscribe to the channel. There is so much more ahead that will help you take full control of your mindset and your life. When you detach, you also notice how freedom transforms your life. No longer are you bound by constant worry over someone's choices or opinions. Your decisions are yours alone. You can pursue goals, dreams, and experiences without emotional strings holding you back. Detachment does not isolate you, it liberates you. It allows you to be fully present in your life, fully engaged with your own growth, and fully aligned with your values. Many people fear detachment because they confuse it with indifference. But Stoicism teaches that detachment is intentional. It's not about not caring, it's about caring wisely. You choose where to invest your time, energy, and emotions. You no longer expend yourself on those who do not reciprocate your value. This selective focus magnifies your personal power, and it shows in your demeanor, your confidence, and your calmness. When their new lover cannot compete, it is not because you are playing games, it's because detachment has created a magnetic energy that comes from authenticity and inner mastery. People are drawn to those who are grounded, self-sufficient, and unwavering. They feel the difference immediately. And what you may have lost externally, you gain exponentially in self-respect, clarity, and emotional resilience. Detachment also teaches patience. You realize that timing is beyond your control. You cannot force someone to recognize your worth or to act according to your desires. But you can control your reaction. You can remain composed, disciplined, and emotionally unshakable. This patience becomes a superpower. People sense it, and it silently commands attention and respect. Ultimately, detachment creates a new standard for how you engage with the world. You stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop being defined by someone else's actions. And in that freedom, you attract those who are capable of meeting your energy, not through effort, but because you are fully aligned with yourself. This is the power of Stoic detachment. It transforms rejection into liberation, absence into presence, and loss into growth. You become untouchable, not through force, but through mastery of your own mind. If you want to continue learning how to master your emotions, build inner strength, and command respect effortlessly, make sure to subscribe to the channel. The journey ahead will teach you to live life fully, independently, and with unshakable power. As detachment becomes a habit, you start noticing a profound shift in your energy. You no longer operate from neediness, fear, or expectation. Instead, you operate from clarity, purpose, and calm. Every action you take is intentional, every word you speak measured. People are naturally drawn to this kind of presence. It is magnetic because it signals stability and inner strength. One of the most powerful aspects of detachment is how it redefines desire. You stop seeking validation externally, and instead, your satisfaction comes from within. This is a form of self-sufficiency that cannot be replicated by anyone else. No new lover, no attention, no fleeting affection can compete with the strength of a person who is fully at peace with themselves. And once you embody this, it becomes impossible for anyone to diminish your worth. Detachment also teaches emotional sovereignty. You begin to recognize that your feelings are yours to manage, not to outsource to others. You no longer let someone else's choices dictate your mood, your confidence, or your sense of self. This control creates a ripple effect. People respond differently to you because they sense your calm and self-possession. It is subtle, but it commands respect. When they attempt to re-enter your life, it is often accompanied by regret or confusion. But because you have detached, you are no longer reactive. You respond, or choose not to respond, based on what aligns with your peace and purpose. The power has shifted. You are no longer available to be manipulated by their emotions or whims. Detachment also deepens your understanding of human nature. You start to see patterns, how people act when they are uncertain, insecure, or unable to value what they have. You recognize that most actions are reflections of their character, not your inadequacy. This insight frees you from blame, guilt, and unnecessary suffering. Your life begins to operate on a higher level. You focus on growth, self-discipline, and mastery of your mind. Your energy becomes a magnet for quality relationships, opportunities, and experiences. You are no longer entangled in the trivialities of ego, jealousy, or insecurity. Your priorities shift, and your clarity becomes irresistible. When their new partner cannot compete, it is not a coincidence. It is the natural consequence of your transformation. You are no longer the person they left. You are stronger, wiser, and more grounded. Your presence is commanding not because of effort, but because detachment has cultivated your essence. At this stage, the lesson is clear. Life rewards those who value themselves enough to walk away from what does not serve their peace. Detachment is not a punishment or a ploy, it is a statement of self-respect, emotional intelligence, and mastery. The more you embody it, the more magnetic your life becomes. To truly harness this power, you must continue practicing daily. Reflect on your emotions without judgment. Set boundaries without guilt. Prioritize your growth without compromise. Each step reinforces your inner freedom, making you untouchable by circumstances, relationships, or external opinions. If this message resonates and you want more practical guidance on mastering yourself, gaining inner strength, and living a life of clarity and power, subscribe to the channel. The upcoming content will show you exactly how to cultivate this level of detachment and attract the respect, admiration, and opportunities you deserve. As you continue embracing detachment, you begin to see the subtle ways it transforms your interactions. Conversations that once left you anxious or overthinking now pass with calm observation. You no longer feel compelled to impress, explain, or justify yourself. Instead, you speak from a place of clarity, and your words carry weight because they are measured and intentional. People notice this shift, even if they cannot name it. Detachment also changes how you perceive absence and presence. When you stop clinging to someone, their presence no longer dictates your mood, and their absence no longer triggers panic or sadness. You start to understand that happiness is not found in another person's attention but cultivated within yourself. This realization is liberating, and it is the cornerstone of Stoic wisdom. The only thing truly under your control is your mind. The magnetic effect of detachment is often misunderstood. It is not about playing hard to get or manipulating emotions. It is about embodying self-respect and composure so profoundly that others instinctively recognize your value. When someone has left you for another, they cannot compete with the power of your peace and the depth of your self-possession. This is a transformation that happens quietly, yet it is impossible to ignore. You also develop resilience. Life will continue to present challenges, disappointments, betrayals, or moments of doubt, but detachment gives you the inner armor to face them without losing equilibrium. Your emotional state is no longer a fragile reflection of external events. You learn to respond rather than react, to choose clarity over chaos, and to prioritize growth over grievance. Another benefit is perspective. You see people, relationships, and situations for what they truly are, free from idealization or dependency. This allows you to engage authentically, rather than out of fear or need. You stop clinging to outcomes and start participating in life with intention. Every decision is filtered through the lens of self-respect and purpose. Detachment also cultivates patience. You wait without anxiety, observe without judgment, and act without desperation. When they attempt to re-enter your life, you evaluate the situation calmly rather than reacting impulsively. This patience often triggers curiosity and respect. They notice your composure and wonder what has changed. As your detachment deepens, you become a source of calm and stability, not only for yourself but for others around you. People are naturally drawn to those who are self-possessed and composed. They seek your presence not because you chase them, but because you embody a rare energy that cannot be fabricated or forced. This journey is not instant, it requires consistent practice, reflection, and self-discipline. But the results are profound: inner freedom, emotional independence, and a life that is aligned with your values and purpose. You no longer need anyone's approval to feel whole, and that independence is one of the most attractive qualities a person can possess. By detaching, you have effectively shifted the balance of power. You are no longer controlled by others' decisions or emotions. You have cultivated a presence that commands attention naturally, without manipulation. And in doing so, you have achieved something few truly master: emotional sovereignty. If you want to continue unlocking this level of self-mastery, inner strength, and stoic wisdom, make sure you subscribe to the channel. The content ahead will teach you practical exercises, mindset shifts, and daily practices to solidify your detachment, amplify your presence, and transform your life from the inside out. Let's dive deeper into actionable, practical ways to master detachment and make it a permanent part of your life. Each section will include exercises, mindset shifts, and examples you can apply daily to solidify your emotional independence. 1. Observe without reaction. The first step in detachment is learning to observe your emotions rather than react impulsively. When someone hurts you or disappoints you, your instinct is often to respond immediately, through messages, confrontation, or internalizing resentment. Instead, pause. Take a deep breath, step back, and allow yourself to simply notice the feeling. Ask, what am I feeling? Why? Recognize that emotions are signals, not commands. Exercise. For 1 week, write down every moment you feel triggered. Next to each emotion, label it: anger, sadness, frustration, longing, jealousy. Do not act on it immediately. Simply acknowledge it and let it exist. Over time, this practice trains your mind to separate emotion from reaction, giving you the space to act intentionally rather than impulsively. 2. Reclaim your time and energy. Detachment thrives when you stop overinvesting in people who do not reciprocate your value. Your energy is finite, and how you spend it defines your emotional state. Stop chasing attention or approval. Redirect that energy toward yourself, your goals, health, skills, and passions. Exercise. Identify areas in your life where you give more than you receive. For each, ask, is this aligned with my peace and growth? Gradually cut back on activities, conversations, or people that drain your energy. This builds an invisible shield. Your presence becomes selective, intentional, and magnetic. 3. Embrace silence. Silence is one of the most powerful tools of detachment. It communicates confidence and self-control without a word. By stepping back from constant messaging, over-explaining, or checking in, you create space for curiosity and respect. Exercise. The next time you feel the urge to reach out to someone who has moved on, pause. Wait at least 24 hours before responding, or do not respond at all if it is unnecessary. Observe how it changes your mental state and the dynamic with the other person. Silence is not punishment, it is a demonstration of emotional independence. 4. Internalize your value. A major reason people struggle with detachment is that they tie their self-worth to others' attention or affection. Stoicism teaches that your value is intrinsic. No one can take it away, and no one can define it for you. Exercise. Every morning, write down 3 qualities you admire in yourself. Reflect on past moments when you demonstrated strength, resilience, or intelligence. Repeat this daily to anchor your self-esteem internally rather than externally. The more you internalize your value, the less anyone else's behavior can destabilize you. 5. Shift focus from outcome to growth. Detachment is not about winning someone back, it's about mastering yourself. Shift your focus from outcomes, getting their attention, their love, their approval, to your personal growth. Exercise. Choose one area of your life to improve: fitness, skill development, or discipline. Commit to a 30-day challenge that benefits only you. Track your progress daily. When your attention is on self-mastery, external validation loses its grip. Growth becomes your reward, and the magnetic energy naturally follows. Let's move into advanced Stoic detachment techniques, methods that go beyond basic exercises, designed to make emotional independence permanent and deeply transformative. These will combine mindset, visualization, daily habits, and long-term strategies. 1. Mental reframing. Turn loss into power. Detachment requires a shift in perspective. Instead of viewing someone leaving as rejection, see it as liberation. Every moment of loss is an opportunity to reclaim yourself and focus on what truly matters. Exercise. When you feel hurt, write down the situation. Ask yourself, what does this free me from? What lesson can I take? How does this make me stronger? Reframe the narrative from, I lost them, to, I gained clarity and freedom. This rewiring changes your brain's emotional response. You stop associating absence with pain and start associating it with empowerment. 2. Visualization for emotional mastery. Visualizing emotional control strengthens your mental resilience. Stoics often practiced imagining the worst-case scenario to reduce fear and attachment. Exercise. Close your eyes and imagine the person leaving, moving on, or ignoring you. Visualize yourself calm, composed, and thriving regardless. See yourself engaging in your goals, laughing, and living fully without dependence on their presence. Repeat this daily. This creates a mental blueprint for detachment. When reality aligns with your visualization, your mind responds with calm rather than panic. 3. The power of micro-detachment. Start small. Detachment is a muscle. It strengthens through repeated practice in low-stakes situations. Exercise. Delay responses to messages you feel compelled to send. Let someone else initiate conversation first, even if it triggers impatience. Observe your emotions and practice remaining composed. Over time, these small exercises make larger detachments, like from someone who has moved on, much easier and natural. 4. Emotional journaling. Journaling is not just for reflection, it's for building clarity, releasing attachment, and tracking progress. Exercise. Daily, write about any moment that triggered attachment, longing, or anxiety. Identify patterns in your thoughts and behaviors. Note progress in emotional control, patience, and calm. This creates a tangible record of growth and reinforces the internal changes detachment is producing. 5. Habit stacking for detachment. Turn detachment into a lifestyle by integrating practices into daily routines. Exercise. Morning, affirm your value and independence. Midday, take a 5-minute pause to observe your emotions without judgment. Evening, reflect on moments where you maintain calm and composure. Weekly, review situations where you could have reacted but chose to stay detached. Consistency over time turns detachment from a strategy into an automatic way of living. 6. Social calibration. Not everyone in your life should have equal emotional access. Detachment involves strategic allocation of attention and energy. Exercise. Identify people who drain or destabilize you emotionally. Limit unnecessary contact. Prioritize relationships that are reciprocal, supportive, and aligned with your growth. By controlling the flow of your energy, you reinforce self-respect and strengthen your magnetic presence. 7. Embrace the Stoic principle, amor fati. Amor fati, love of fate, is central to Stoicism. Accept reality as it is, rather than wishing it were different. Detachment thrives when you embrace life's outcomes without resistance. Exercise. Whenever someone moves on or a situation disappoints you, repeat mentally, this is what is. I accept it. I choose to thrive. Focus on what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and responses. Acceptance does not mean passivity. It means you act with clarity rather than being enslaved by emotion. Absolutely. Let's close this with a powerful, final section that leaves your audience inspired, grounded, and ready to embody Stoic detachment in every aspect of life. The final transformation, becoming untouchable. When detachment becomes your practice, it no longer feels like a strategy, it becomes your nature. You move through life with a calm that others notice but cannot imitate. You are no longer reactive to betrayal, rejection, or loss. Instead, you respond with clarity, composure, and strength. This is the ultimate form of power, the mastery of yourself. Your presence becomes magnetic because it radiates independence. People sense that you are complete on your own, and this draws them toward you naturally. The person who once left, the new lover, the doubts and fears, they all fade in comparison to the energy of someone who has fully reclaimed themselves. You are no longer seeking validation, you are offering presence, integrity, and unshakable peace. Detachment also frees you to live fully. You pursue goals without fear of judgment, love without dependency, and experience life without expectation. Every moment becomes a choice, a chance to grow, to create, and to thrive. When you embrace this, external events, the choices of others, their mistakes, or their absence, no longer control your inner world. Your power lies in your mind, and nothing can take it away. Remember, Stoic detachment is not about coldness or indifference. It is about clarity, discipline, and self-respect. It is about being fully present in your life while refusing to surrender your peace to anyone else's actions. It is about knowing your worth and embodying it without compromise. The person who once left will notice your transformation. They may wonder why you are no longer available in the same way. They may feel the absence they once took for granted. But whether they return or not, it no longer matters. You are complete, grounded, and untouchable. Your journey does not end here. Practice daily reflection, emotional observation, and intentional growth. Strengthen your mind, honor your values, and live with unwavering purpose. This is the path of Stoic mastery, a life where you are free, powerful, and unshakable. If this message inspired you, and you want more guidance on building inner strength, emotional control, and Stoic wisdom, subscribe to the channel. The upcoming content will help you continue transforming your life, mastering your mind, and becoming the version of yourself that no circumstance or person can shake.